All right, boys, so I know it's been a while, but listen, okay? I can explain, just hear me out. Actually, I can't. So yeah, today we are going to be taking a look at some exotic weapons, but not just any exotic weapons, the top 5 exotic weapons you need to have at the ready going into Beyond Light. As we all know, Beyond Light is only 60 days away. Okay, now that I said that, I'm actually kind of depressed. But hey, some of these exotics might actually take you that long. Who knows? But first, you know the drill. If you're new, and only if you enjoy the videos, then feel free to subscribe. Also, I stream pretty much every single day over on twitch.tv/myfi with an underscore at the end. So if I just randomly disappear here on YouTube again from now until Beyond Light, then you can probably most likely find me over there. Oh, and I also do raid help over there. So yeah. Finally, I am running a giveaway for a copy of Beyond Light, the Digital Deluxe Edition. More info in the description box below. Okay, plugs done. Let's get into the top 5 must-have exotics for Beyond Light. Now, just a few guidelines you should know. First, this list is in no particular order. It's not from best to worst or worst to best. And second, this list will not feature or contain raid exotics. As well, those should just be a given. So getting started with number 5, we have the exotic grenade launcher, Witherhoard. This weapon is acquired via the Season 11 Season Pass. You can buy the Season Pass for 10 bones and get it instantly, or you can just play the game and get it at level 35 on the free track of the Season Pass. Now, I know I'm about to piss off a ton of Eriana Val users, but Witherhoard is the best seasonal exotic that we have gotten out of all the Season Pass exotics in Year 3. Getting into the perks, in Column 1, we have Countermass for an increase across the board to stability, handling, and recoil. Column 2, we have Black Powder for an increase to blast radius, but a decrease to stability. Column 3, we have Break the Bank, which pretty much means if an enemy is direct impacted by a shot from this weapon, they will take damage over time, and then when they finally kick the bucket, they will leave an area of blight, which will deal damage to other enemies that happen to pass through that blighted area. Then for Column 4, we have Composite Stock, which gives an increase to both stability and handling. And finally, the exotic perk, Prime Evil's Torment, which states projectiles fired from this weapon blight the target or nearby area on impact. Now, a lot of people are comparing this weapon to Mountaintop and claiming, yup, this is the Mountaintop 2.0, but I would have to disagree. I would say that Witherhoard is more like a mini Anarchy. I mean, think about it. Anarchy is good for ad clear by sticking a few of the mines to the ground and letting the ads run through the electricity. And it's also good for single target damage and boss damage by just sticking a few mines to the enemy and letting it do tick damage. But now, if we take a quick peek at Witherhoard, well, it can do pretty much the same thing. Shoot a blighted projectile to the ground and let enemies run through it for ad clear. Then, if you want single target damage or boss damage, then you could just direct impact the enemy with the blight fired from the weapon and let it do tick damage while you switch to another weapon and do some more damage. Now, don't think I'm saying that Witherhoard is better by any means, as that's just not true. But if you don't have Anarchy, then it might be something you would want to get your hands on prior to Beyond Light. Plus, the builds with this weapon are really fun and pretty nutty. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the exotic shotgun Tractor Cannon. In Column 1, we have Extended Barrel for an increase to range and recoil, but a decrease to handling. Column 2, Particle Repeater for an increase to stability. Column 3, the Scientific Method, which temporarily increases the speed and handling after damaging an enemy. Then Column 4, Composite Stock for an increase to stability and handling. Then finally, the exotic perk Repulsor's Force. I swear I'm going to say this wrong. Repulsor Force, which states this weapon emits a powerful impulse that pushes enemies away, suppresses their abilities, and makes them more vulnerable to all incoming damage. Now, hear me out before you start scratching your head as to why this weapon is a must-have for Beyond Light. Tractor Cannon is pretty much a 30% damage debuff on command as long as you have ammo. Now, there are other abilities in the game that can apply a 30% damage debuff, but abilities require recharge and can't be used anytime you want. The current most popular debuff in the game is Oppressive Darkness, which is a seasonal artifact mod which enables all void grenades to debuff any enemy it comes in contact with. But Oppressive Darkness will be leaving at the end of the season, so having a weapon that can make up for it is a huge plus. Now, a lot of you might be saying, but what about Divinity? And yes, I would say that Divinity is better, but it's a raid exotic, whereas Tractor Cannon is a world drop, meaning it can just drop randomly if you don't already own it. It can also be acquired via Xur, and it was also a Twitch Prime loot drop a few months back. Now, once you acquire Tractor Cannon, then you have a chance to get the Catalyst to randomly drop from any non-Guardian kill. Getting the Catalyst fully upgraded will unlock the perk Deeper Pockets, which increases ammo reserves. I definitely recommend getting Tractor Cannon. I know a lot of you probably have it as it is a year one weapon, but if not, I would start honestly just look for Xur and just wait for him to sell it between now until Beyond Light, because more than likely he will. Now, making its way in at number 3, we have the exotic sniper rifle Izanagi's Burden. Now hold up, I know it has lost a ton of popularity since its nerf a few seasons back, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it's still a top tier exotic due to its single target damage potential. The nerf to Izanagi's Burden did not affect its overall damage output. The nerf affected the reload speed, which in turn affected its DPS. Yes, the DPS might be lower, but DPS doesn't really matter when you can just one-shot most opponents. A ×4 honed edge shot can one-shot most enemies to the dome, and if it can't, then it's bringing their health bar down to just a sliver. Yes, DPS matters when it comes to boss damage, but if you pair Izzy with a good auto-loading GL and alternate back and forth, then Izzy can still put in some of that work. Also, I would like to add that Izzy is still part of one of the best GM Nightfall Fireteam loadouts, which consists of 2 players running Izzy and 1 player running Divinity. Izanagi's is acquired via a quest line from Ada 1 and will take you a minimum of 4 weeks to unlock. Then, if you want the Catalyst, which I highly recommend as it increases the damage when a ×4 honed edge shot is loaded, well, you will need to fully upgrade your Chalice from the Menagerie and then run a Heroic Menagerie to get the Catalyst to drop. All of the activities related to Izzy, that being obtaining the gun and getting the Catalyst, are leaving when Beyond Light comes out, and we have no idea what the steps to getting Izanagi's Burden will be once Beyond Light drops in November. So if you don't have Izanagi's Burden and you want a gun that is almost required for GM Nightfalls and a gun that can dish out some serious single target damage, then I would get to grinding for it if I were you. Making its way in at number 2, we have the exotic machine gun Xenophage. Xenophage has had some rocky history, with it first being shown at an early preview for Shadowkeep doing some insane damage and even having crit damage enabled. Then upon it being released, well, I think we all remember how much of a meme it was, but nowadays it's a lot of people's go-to DPS weapon for things like raid bosses, excluding Insurrection Prime, of course. This gun literally went from being a meme to being one of the most used guns in Destiny 2. From its high DPS and overall damage output to its insane ease of use, Xeno can really do it all. The quest to get this gun starts in Eris's little portal thingy on the moon and shouldn't take you more than a few hours to obtain. Some parts of the quest are pretty straightforward, but other parts can be kind of confusing, but a quick little search here on YouTube will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. There's not too much to know when it comes to Xenophage, other than it's really powerful, it's a machine gun, and it's definitely worth your exotic slot and in-game activities, and I highly recommend you have it by your side going into Beyond Light. Did I mention how easy it is to use? Did I? Because if I didn't, I really want to reiterate that, and I think that's why this weapon is really used, because it takes just point and click. That's pretty much it. Yeah, go get Xenophage. Now, before we get into number 1, I wanted to give a quick honorable mention. I really wanted to put this gun on the list, but after doing a little bit more research, I ended up going with Tractor Cannon instead. Eriana's Vow. This gun came out a few seasons back as part of the season pass, little exotic that comes with the season pass. It is a 90 RPM hand cannon that acts more like a short to medium range sniper rifle. Looking at its special perks, it has Death at First Glance in column 3, which states bonus damage when aiming down sights on the opening shot of an attack. This bonus is preserved if the shot deals precision damage or strikes an elemental shield. Then the exotic perk Looks Can Kill, which states this weapon fires shield piercing ammunition, and it also comes with a scope. This pretty much translates into high damage shots that can keep barrier champions at bay. I don't recommend running around with this thing in just everyday activities, but when it comes to activities that have barrier champions and you have to keep distance between you and the enemy, well, that's where this thing shines. It's all around only viable in things like Nightfall or deals, but nonetheless, I really wanted to mention it on the list. Now, for our number 1 spot. This is hands down the best exotic in the game. I honestly think this is the best exotic in all of Destiny. Let me introduce you to Fourth Horseman. Okay, I'm joking. The actual number 1 is going to be Whisper of the Worm. Whisper of the Worm, just like Xeno, has had a pretty rocky history of being the best exotic in the game to being not really used due to other exotics overtaking it, then back to being one of the best exotics in the game. In column 1, we have polygonal rifling for an increase to stability. Column 2, accurized rounds for an increase to range. Column 3, mulligan for a chance to have a missed shot be returned directly back to the magazine. Column 4, fitted stock for an increase to stability and recoil but a decrease to handling. Then the exotic perk White Nail, which enables higher precision damage and rapidly landing 3 precision shots will refill the magazine from reserves. This gun can outdamage just about any other weapon in the game when it comes to overall damage output, especially if you slap on double sniper rifle reserves. Also, due to not having to reload thanks to Whitenell, well, the DPS is also up there as well. The only downside to this gun is you have to be accurate, because if you're not landing precision hits, then your DPS is going to plummet. And if that happens during a boss fight that has a short damage phase or a short damage window, then your damage output that phase is also going to plummet. This gun is acquired via a secret quest line that starts on Io. You are dropped into a mission called the Whisper with no waypoint objectives and just a time limit of 20 minutes. You must navigate the mission and defeat the multiple bosses at the end to obtain the weapon. Now, there is also a catalyst available for this weapon that is available once you unlock the weapon itself. The catalyst is acquired from the Whisper mission again, but this time it's heroic. And after getting the catalyst, in order to fully upgrade it, you must run the heroic Whisper mission again on every elemental singe, meaning 3 weeks minimum. But I must say that the catalyst is 1,000,000% worth it, as it unlocks a special perk on the gun known as Whispered Breathing, which after aiming down sights for 3 seconds will increase damage output by around 30%. So all in all, as long as you can land shots, then Whisper is definitely a go-to. And if you plan on participating in a day 1 raid for Beyond Light, and the bosses within the new raid aren't very mobile like most bosses, and if they also happen to have long damage phases, then Whisper will be an absolute must. So, if you don't have Whisper already, then I highly recommend you go and grab it, as the quest to obtain it will be leaving at the end of the season, and we don't know when the gun will be available to obtain again. And there we go. That is, in my opinion, the top 5 must-have exotic weapons going into Beyond Light. And like I mentioned before, some of these exotic quests will be leaving at the end of the season. Bungie has stated that a new way will become available in the future to obtain them, but we don't know when or how hard the new way of obtaining them will be. So if I were you, I'd rather be safe than sorry. But now I need something from you. Yes, you. I need you to let me know in the comment section which guns on this list you have. Are you just an absolute gamer that has them all? Are you only missing 1 or 2? Or do you have none of them? As I'm curious as to what you all are working with going into Beyond Light. With all that being said, if you enjoyed the video, then feel free to drop your boy a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.